Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Party on Broad. It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. And today we are talking NHL Draft. And with me is my man, Tyson Quibell. Follow him on Twitter at QuibellTyson. Check out his top 100 NHL Draft prospect rankings. You can find that article at thepaintedlines.com. How you doing, man?
Doing all right. Hanging in there. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're talking NHL Draft today, and today we are specifically talking about Mr. Jamie Drysdale. Jamie Drysdale is one of your number 5 NHL Draft prospect. We're going to talk about his 2019-2020 season. We're going to talk about his strengths, his weaknesses, and we're going to talk about how he looks projecting into the NHL next year and beyond. Tyson, talk to us a little bit about Jamie Drysdale and who this guy is as a hockey player.
Yeah, so he is a fun player. He's an offensive-minded defenseman, and it's interesting. So probably about a year ago when people first started to notice him, he's been the number 1 ranked defenseman for a couple of years now for this draft. This draft is low on defense, so in terms of talent level, and so he's kind of always been ahead of the rest on everybody's radar. But for the most part, he was seen about a year ago as being a more safe, quick puck-moving defenseman. So in other words, like, he's got really good feet. He moves really quick, but he's really, really good at just getting the puck up the forwards, like, really, really quick. So his point totals in his 16-year-old season were pretty decent. This past season, they were really good as well. But at least a year ago, we were looking at him and we were saying, okay, in terms of upside, he just looks like a solid, maybe second pairing defender. And so that's what a lot of scouts were saying. That's what I was thinking at the time, like a guy that you just like to have on your team, a super well-rounded, though more offensively minded defenseman. And then this year he showed this other gear, another level. And so he started showing a willingness to carry the puck. He made Canada's World Junior team as an underager, which for defense is really hard to do. It's a very small list. And he was their 7th defender, so he wasn't their, number 1. But because of injuries, he got to play, and he had a stellar goal in Canada's gold medal game. And he just showed like a willingness to even crash the net from the blue line, just really, really good instincts. And so what I started to see was these tools. So his skating, his offensive ability, his great first pass, and this safe game. I started to see him take these next steps throughout the season that kind of showed us that he could potentially be a much more rusher type in moments. Now, he doesn't seem to go there right now, but he seemed to have a wow factor at times that bumped him up in my ranking. So I had him closer to 10 kind of to start with, was a little bit skeptical. Like, he's safe. He's going to be an NHL player, but I'm not really sure. Now I'm being like, okay, he does seem to have a wow factor. If he can consistently do that, he's going to be a top pairing defenseman.
Yeah, let's talk about Jamie Drysdale's strengths. And from the little bit of research I've done, this guy looks like the next two-way stud in this year's draft. Tell us a little bit about Jamie Drysdale's strengths at the next level.
Yeah, so his pass out of the zone, his first pass, just like being able to find open guys, a stretch pass from his own zone is just really stellar. His foot speed is really, really good. So he can turn on a dime as well. He's very agile skater. He's small for a defenseman. I think he's listed around 5'10", 5'11", so he's considered semi-small. But he just does so well with the puck. Like, bigger players will frequently feel like they're going to take his head off in the corner when he has the puck behind his own net, and he just gets away from them majority of the time. So very, very highly intelligent player. He's a pass-first defenseman. And as I said before, another strength that he's showing is just a willingness to take more chances. And that's what kind of brings those wow factor defensemen up. The two rookie defensemen this year that are probably going to go 1-2 in the Calder race, Cole Makar on Colorado and Quinn Hughes on Vancouver. They're smaller, skilled defensemen that have a wow factor, that have a similar toolkit to Drysdale. These two players are considered elite, though. They're a step up. But you see little pieces of that game maybe coming together for Drysdale, and he may need some more time. But I could see him, if he improves in his consistency with attempting the wow factor even, I think we could see him really take off as a solid first pairing defenseman.
This is our 5th video on the NHL draft, and I got to say, I'm appreciating how many pass first guys there are in the top of this year's NHL draft. Let's flip it, man. Let's talk about weaknesses. What are some areas that Jamie Drysdale needs to improve upon?
Yeah, so he's still like most defensemen of his age, especially if they're more offensively minded. He's not terrible defensively, but man, he would have some games where he just looked brutal. I think there was one game I was watching and highlights the tape of, and his team won like 7-5, but he was on the ice for 5 goals against, all 5 goals against, and he was on the ice for like all 7 goals for, like, so I mean, this happens sometimes in junior where these crazy things will happen because he's playing like 30 minutes a game. But the fact of the matter is that he consistently, he would have games every so often where you just kind of be like, man, he just looks like he's trying to be a forward right now. He's just not really in his zone. So I still don't take it as a worry because these guys are young. They're getting lots of minutes. He plays in Erie, Pennsylvania, Erie Otters. Connor McDavid's former junior team, and Dylan Strome was on the Blackhawks. And so they weren't necessarily a powerhouse. They haven't been really since the McDavid years. And so he's relied on for a lot. And so you see that a lot in junior where a defenseman like that will just go full on in, and then he'll just struggle defensively. So it's not a worry, but he just needs to be more consistently defensively. I don't think he'll be in the NHL next year. I think he's a year or two away at the very least.
All right, you answered that question for me. Let's talk about best fits in this year's NHL draft. What are the NHL teams that you think would be the best fit for Jamie Drysdale?
There's a couple. So I think he's likely to go between 5 and 9. I don't see him going less than 9. One other defenseman jumped on the scene a little bit, Jake Sanderson. I had him ranked, I think, closer to 17, but most people think he's going to go in the top 10 as well, or close to the top 10. Yeah. And some people even think now that there's a roughly 40% chance. I think it's like Corey Proman of the Athletics that he thinks 40% chance that Sanderson will get taken first. But if we're going in that range, New Jersey would be a good fit. They took Jack Hughes last year. They need puck-moving defensemen. He'd be a fit. He's a right shot, too, which is helpful. There's not a whole lot of those to go around. Buffalo, who just literally cleaned house the other day, fired everybody, all their scouts, everybody, just 22 people unemployed overnight. It's insane.
Wow.
They could use him, too, because they have Rasmus Dahlin. They have a bunch of depth defensemen, not much in the way of a wow factor. So those are my 2 that I think would be good fits.
Fantastic. That is Tyson Quibell. Check him out on Twitter at QuibellTyson. Check out his top 100 NHL draft prospect ranking over at thepaintedlines.com. For Tyson, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.
Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh, man, and being just posterized Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get it. Hell yeah!